So this is our second class on the poem I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, written by William Wordsworth. So we have already read this poem, Between the Lines. Can you read today the first stanza? And after the reading, we will go through the theme of the poem and the literary terms used in this poem. Literary devices, which literary devices the poet used in this poem. So, the first stanza, any of you who can read? You, Anika? No? Very easy and very simple words has been used. Okay, Sam? First stanza only.
I wandered lonely as a cloud
That
floats on high wire hills and cliffs. When all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils.
Golden daffodils.
Beside the lake, beneath the trees, flirting and dancing in the breeze.
Okay, thank you. Fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Okay, that day in the last day, I have discussed about the dancing in the breeze. Breeze means, what do you understand by breeze? B-R-E-E-Z-E. What is the meaning of this breeze? Mild wind, very smooth, soothing, very mild and soothing wind. So look at here. At first, look at the title of the poem. The poem, at first, what do you think? That the poem was written about a lonely cloud. Wandered, I wandered, that means the speaker. The speaker says that he wandered lonely as a cloud. So this wander means moving or walking here and there aimlessly. Walking aimlessly here and there. Another wonder, W-O-N-D-E-R. This one, yes, amazed, surprised. This is the difference. So this wonder, the poet is walking here and there thoughtlessly and aimlessly. He is comparing himself with a lonely cloud. So simile is a literary term. Simile has been used in the title of the poem. So what does simile mean? What do you understand by simile?
A literary device which compare
Yes.
one object with another object.
Compare. There is a comparison with one object to another object and using as or like. Okay, write down everybody. So simile is a literary device which compares one object to another using as or like. Okay, fine. This as or like must be there. Write down. Aren't you writing? You? Shoiko? So in the simile you will get as or like. But what about metaphor? Metaphor is also comparison. Comparison with one object with another. But there is no like or as. This is implicit comparison. And simile is explicit comparison. When like or as will be there, you see in a sentence that easily you will find that it is simile. An example that she is like a rose. Very easy and simple example, and look at the like, and she is a rose. She is a rose. So there is no, this is also a comparison with one object with another, and she is a person is compared with rose, but there is no like or as. This comparison is inherent. This is metaphor. This is metaphor, and this is simile. So simile is explicit comparison. The comparison is very much clear, very much exposed, and metaphor is implicit comparison. And in the metaphor there will be no like or as. You don't need to write like or as in the metaphor. In the next classes we will discuss it more, and when we will go to other poems or stories, okay, then you will get metaphor and more comparisons, more examples will be given. Now, what about personification? Last class we have already discussed about personification. Okay, have you written all this? Complete? Okay. So before going to the personification, I just want to, okay, so this is the another just short description of the poem. You may say that a reflection on nature and solitude. Reflection in the poem I wandered lonely as a cloud. It can be said as a reflection of nature and solitude. What does solitude means? What solitude? Lonely. Solitude means lonely. So this is a reflection of nature. That means natural beauty, the aesthetic beauty of nature. Now, a solitary journey. Look at the first stanza. So, solitary journey of the speaker, of the poet. In this poem, the poet thinks himself as a lonely cloud. So, this is a solitary, a lonely journey of the speaker. The speaker walks alone compared to a solitary cloud. Lonely cloud means solitary cloud. Wandering over hills and valleys. Here in the poem you will get vales, but this is the word of the poet, but actually this is valley. Valley, what does it mean? Valley means, valley in Bangla, upottaka, that means there is space between the hills. Valleys, but in the poem you are getting V-A-L-E-S, vales. In the poem there is over. Over is written like O apostrophe E-R. This is the short form of over. This is the literary use. Short form of over. Over. Written is O apostrophe E-R. that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd. The poet says that he suddenly, all at once means suddenly, all at once, write down, all at once means suddenly. Suddenly he saw a crowd. Normally crowd, what do you understand by crowd? Yes, crowd means a group of people, very gathering, yes, gathering in a place, and noisy, there is lots of chaos, okay. But here cloud means crowd. Here crowd, he is referring to the field of daffodils, the golden daffodils. The poet thinks the daffodils as crowd. So the poet is attributing human qualities upon the daffodils, upon the flowers, upon the inanimate object. When the human qualities is imposed on inanimate object or lifeless object, it is called personification. Understood? So, what do you understand by personification?
Characteristics in lifeless object.
Human characteristics or human qualities.
In lifeless object.
Yes. So personification, human attributes or qualities, human attributes or qualities in lifeless objects or inanimate objects. Inanimate, okay, another word for lifeless, inanimate objects, in lifeless objects, in inanimate objects. So think that you are having a journey, a train journey or bus journey, you are getting exhausted and you feel bored. So you may think that this is a boring journey. So actually journey cannot be boring. The person feels boring. That's why the journey is called boring journey. So giving the qualities, attributes to the journey, to the lifeless object. Dancing in the breeze, that means the daffodils are dancing, daffodils are moving smoothly. So this is also a human quality, but the poet is thinking that the daffodils are dancing in the breeze. So this is also personification. Next, coming, a sudden encounter. Encounter means while moving aimlessly, the poet, the speaker suddenly saw. Encounter means face or saw. Suddenly saw a long row of daffodils, located a lake and beneath the trees, fluttering and shifting in the breeze. That means dancing in the breeze, that means okay, moving and shifting in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shines. As the stars, the second stanza, look at the second stanza here. So have you written personification? Azmain? Yes? Lifeless, another synonymous word is inanimate. Pranhin. Inanimate. Animate object means life, yes. and inanimate means lifeless. There is no life.
There is no life.
Yes, জীব আর জড়, জড় বস্তু, জড় পদার্থ, okay, lifeless object. Clear to you? Inanimate. Okay, so continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. Another simile is there. Continuous as the stars that shine. Continuous as the stars that shine. That means the poet is trying to compare the daffodils with the stars also, and he is also talking about the Milky Way. Here Wordsworth compares the rows of the daffodils with countless stars. The countless means numerous. Yes, uncountable, infinity, infinite, numerous, lots of. So Wordsworth compares the endless rows of daffodils with countless stars. Write down this. Okay, I am erasing this one. Continuous. Okay, this is very famous sentences for you. You can quote in the answer, or you can quote if you want to share your feelings with the others. So the Wordsworth compares. Write down, please. Wordsworth compares the endless, that means lots of, infinite, infinity, endless rows of daffodils, with countless stars, Can you count the stars in the sky? No. So there are innumerable stars in the sky.
What it called, ma'am?
Yes?
What it called?
Innumerable, that means countless, যেটা গোনা যায় না, অগণিত. In Bangla we can say অগণিত, innumerable stars, countless stars. So he is comparing with daffodils, with the stars. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of the bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. বলছে যে একেবারে at a glance means এক নজরে, এক নজরে 10,000 saw at a glance, tossing their heads, that means the daffodils, tossing their heads in the sprightly dance. This is another example of personification. Tossing their, okay, you write down it, please. This is the quote, and you may be asked to explain the sentences, or you may be asked that which type of literary devices has been used in these lines, in this stanza. Yes, personification, continuous as the stars that shine. This is simile also. So tossing their heads in sprightly, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. tossing their heads in sprightly dance. This is the sentence from the poem. So if you just directly quote the sentence, the same sentence from the poem, you have to mark it. You have to give the inverted commas. Next. So the stars of the earth. Daffodils compares to stars in the sky. Okay. So in the sky there are thousands, millions, billions of stars, and the poet thinks that the daffodils are the stars of this earth. Golden daffodils. When the stars are twinkling, it seems to be golden like these twinkling stars, and the daffodils are also moving, shifting their heads and dancing, and this is just a comparison with the twinkling stars. So in a sense, the daffodils are the stars on earth. Prithibir star on earth, that means matite. Prithibite stars, and in the sky there are the real stars. Seemingly endless, stretching along a bay, thousands of blooms dancing in unison. So all these are just imagination of the poet, imagination of the speaker. This is imaginary, and he is thinking that the daffodils are dancing, twinkling like the stars on this earth. Understood? Another thing, that nature's joy. The waves beside them dance, and they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. In glee, that means in joy, in cheerful mood. So when the poem starts, it was a lonely, the speaker thought himself as a lonely cloud, something disappointing, frustrating, but now after seeing the daffodils, he is getting cheerful, joyful. Their joyful presence affects the speaker deeply. Even a poet couldn't help but feel cheerful. কবি আনন্দিত না হয়ে পারছেন না. Okay, when the poem starts, what did you understand? That somehow the speaker, the poet, feels lonely, alone, and in a very solitude, and he thinks that there is no aim. That's why he was moving aimlessly, thoughtlessly. But after seeing the daffodil, he's thinking that something positive is coming in his life, and he's getting cheerful, he's getting optimistic, hopeful. So even the poet couldn't help but feel cheerful. মানে আনন্দিত না হয়ে পারলেন না. Okay. Next, memory and solitude. So you know the meaning of solitude. Solitude means loneliness. Solitude enhances memory. Memory, that means some remembrance, some recollection. The image of dancing daffodils brings happiness. I have told you so far. The speaker's mind joins in the dance. So the poet's mind, the speaker's mind also joins as he becomes joyful, cheerful. So his mind is also dancing with the daffodils. Okay, so the ending is very much optimistic, very much cheerful also. Okay, and this is the last slide. And so far we have read in this poem, we got simile, we got personification, example of personification. Simile is very much prevalent here, and alliteration is also there. Alliteration is another literary device. Alliteration means the repetition of the same consonant sounds in the same lines. This is the last lesson for today, alliteration. Alliteration, okay, write down. Just after alliteration, we will end our class. So this is alliteration. What does alliteration means? Alliteration is the repetition of the okay, remember the spelling? Alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the same consonant sounds. Alliteration is the repetition of the same consonant sound, not vowel, in the same lines of poetry. I gazed and gazed. The use of G, I gazed, in the same lines of the poetry. In the same lines of the poetry. Okay, for example, I gazed, this is small jet, I gazed and gazed. I gazed and gazed. The use of G sound, the use of W sound, what will the snow to me had brought. So I gazed and gazed. Pensive mood, beside the lake, beneath the trees. I gazed and gazed. Think of this, the use of this is the two slashes will be there, G sound. In the same sentence will be there, so the sound is coming again and again, the repetition of the same sound. So what do you understand by alliteration? Alliteration is the of the same sound, yes, same consonant sound, right, same consonant sound in the same lines. I gazed and gazed. This is called rhythm, rhymes also. So in many poems you will get this type of alliteration. When we'll go through other poems also, we will discuss it. We will give more examples in the next classes. Do you have any question? No? Any question? Okay, thank you.